Well, 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 well. Y'all know that a lot of women, if you don't know, let me be the first to tell you, women are getting to the point where they're just sick and tired of men, and I've talked about this before. And they are choosing themselves, and they are making communities with their girlfriends and traveling with their girlfriends and just totally pushing men out of the picture because of the abuse. Women are getting their lives taken. They're getting beaten. Their children are getting beaten. The hatred that males have towards women is just alarming. Okay. Absolutely alarming. The negging on the first date, so called jokes. Negging is when they're so called making jokes about to put you down under the pretense of joking. If that's supposed to impress somebody, you stupid. Okay? If that's how you impress people, you're not very bright. So, I mean, the abuse is rampant. The narcissistic abuse is rampant. Women are just tired being objectified. We are not considered human beings. We are considered a walking sex toy, and I've talked about that before. And there's situations where the older men who are supposed to know better, but they don't because they're going to remain a perpetual child. But they're trying to teach the younger guys. They've been doing this for generations after generation, for a very long time. The older ones who still act stupid are trying to get the younger guys to objectify women too. And I came across a video, which I'm going to post the title in the description. It was the most refreshing thing I've seen in a long time. Younger men who don't want to put up with that. Like older guys are trying to get younger guys to act like a dog like him. Yeah, man, look at that piece right there. Look at that piece of butt right there. Yeah, I do this to her. I do that to her. Blah, blah, blah. And one of them is 23. He's the first boy in his family in a real long time. He's a virgin. And I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him. And he's the first boy in a long time in his family. So he was surrounded by women. And I think that probably has a lot to do with why he acts the way he does. His parents were strict on him. He asked his mom at one point when he was younger, he wanted to get his ears pierced. And she wasn't down and she walked away from him. And he kind of sucked his teeth. He said that he did it quietly. But his dad swooped up over there after work and jumped in his world. And he said, my parents aren't even together. And my dad said, boy, don't you be disrespecting your mom like that. Now, how many men do that? Protect their partner and tell their children, hey, you're not going to do that to my wife or your mom in front of me. You done lost your mind up in here. How often does that happen, right? And I was pretty impressed with that. He is a peppermint patty. He is so refreshing. He does not objectify women. He's a virgin. He does not tolerate that. He does not like that when guys are like, yeah, look at that. I'll get her pregnant. Look at that. And objectifying, talking about her body parts. He will walk away from that conversation in a minute. And I cannot talk about how impressed I am with him. Oh my God. That is, I'm speechless because that doesn't seem, I didn't even know there were guys out there that acted like that. Because there's so many of them that are overwhelmingly pigs. So it's easy to paint everybody with the same brush, even though logically you know that that isn't true. There's going to be a small percentage, if any, that don't act like that. Well, I ran across one of the guys in that percentage, two guys that are in that percentage today, and I'll post the title. It's refreshing. The only thing I didn't really care for, the second guy, he's married. He don't tolerate women being hypersexualized. He doesn't tolerate guys, his barber talking about, yeah, I was with this chick last night and I did this and did that. And he's like, okay, and like I don't need to have a through Z description of what you all did in the bedroom. I mean, it's just really to have guys talk about it is nice. But the second guy who's married, he's a young guy too, but he's married. He calls women's V a box. I don't agree with that. I don't have a box down there. Women don't have a cat down there. I really don't like these negative connotations. And I know he's a gentleman. The way he talks, he's a gentleman. But we don't have a box down there. Okay? Can you imagine women walking around with a cardboard box attached to them? It's kind of silly and stupid. I'd rather you call it a V or something like that, but please don't call it an animal or a box or don't do that. But other than that, he doesn't really need to hear what you did with this woman and how you would toss her up and I can't talk to that girl over there because I'm gonna have to get her pregnant. What the oh. So the older generation is trying to push the younger generation to be dogs too and to disrespect women too. And some of these guys were actually raised right and they're not having that. They're not having that with you. They don't need to have a blueprint of what you did with her when you took her clothes off. And he said, the married guy, he's also said, which is true, right? He said they don't get together and talk about, how can we improve our communities or financial literacy or anything like that. In other words, anything productive. But they sure as hell could tell you how she got a fat ass and how she got a big old rack on her and this, that, and the other. And it's just disgusting. And to hear guys address this, not just women, is so refreshing. Wow. I'm impressed. And for the guy who's 20, I think he's 23, he's a virgin. He needs to stay a virgin as long as he can because the amount of diseases, because, somebody in the comments in a video said, sexual addiction has become normalized. Hello. That's right. That's exactly right. You don't have an extremely high sex drive. You have an addiction and you objectify people and you need validation. I've said that before. Even when women are being crushed emotionally because they spread on the first date, they'll still do it. For every guy that pays attention, you're guaranteed to get a piece. Well, that's not going to make men fly straight and become a gentleman. When you spread for everybody, he talked to you, he's guaranteed to get some. You are encouraging that behavior. You are encouraging them to get worse. You're encouraging them to assault women who say no. Women don't ever tell me no. You gonna give me some today. You could either do it by on your own volition, or I could just take it. You're encouraging violent behavior by spreading for everybody. Women, ladies, nothing good comes out of that. Absolutely nothing good comes out of that. And I told y'all before, I had a previous so-called friend. She was chasing men, and men were more important than me by far. So I'm going to leave you over there, and I'm not going to be friends with you anymore because I'm not going to plead with you to pay attention to me as a friend. It should be mutual. You care about me, I care about you. But if you chasing men and you think that that's going to be your everything, go for it. I'm out. I blocked her on my phone. I'm not going to do this. Totally put me on the back burner to chase men. Now, she's the one that I told you, her daughter is stupid. And she is encouraging her mother to be a slut. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Mom, have fun. You're single. The only thing missing from that statement is be a slut. Spread for everybody. Okay? Spread. Do it. You're single. You don't have any obligations, which is one of the worst things. Women encouraging other women to do that, you need to go to a psych ward, because why would you encourage that? Do you want to see them die of AIDS? Do you not know HIV's out here? Do you not know that the medicines for HIV cause heart problems? It's not a matter of if, it's when. Mmm. Mmm. Not every disease a shot will get rid of. And you encouraging her to spread, 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 spread. And guess what else? When you got alcohol involved, do you really think a person's going to be responsible and use what they're supposed to do to protect themselves? Probably not. And you telling her to spread? You're a dumb bitch. Whew! Let me calm down. So, in one ear, her daughter's telling her to be a slut, and on the other hand, her daughter is an adult. She's an adult, but she got a mindset of a dumbass. But so I'm in the other ear telling her, you don't want to do that. You don't know this guy. You're going out with these men and you're giving it to them on the first date. They don't respect that. They beg for it, but they don't respect it, which is asinine in itself. If I'm pleading for somebody to get me some chocolate truffles, which are so good, they melt in your mouth. Oh my God, let's not even go there because I'll start craving them. Whoo, they're good. That should be illegal to taste that good. They're round chocolate balls with some kind of creamy whatever in the middle, and it literally disintegrates in your mouth. Oh God. Oh my God. So if I'm pleading for that, I don't have any money. Can you get me this? Please get me those? I'm with my friend or whatever. Can you please buy me that? And I beg, 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 and then they finally get it for me. And then I get them, I eat them, and I never want to taste those again. Not from that person. I have to get it from somebody else. That's just kind of dumb. You beg for something, then when you get it, you don't want it, or you don't respect it when you get it. Or here's a better one. I open the bag and I eat one or two and throw the rest in the trash. Well, that's just stupid. So they do it with this person they were begging from it, that they were begging for it, and then they don't talk to the person again. They throw them in the trash. That's dumb. Can't accuse them of being smart. But she would do everybody that she went out with on the first date. And I told her, y'all need to go somewhere in public so there's no way that you could do that. You need to meet at a restaurant or, some people go to bars, whatever. Some people go to sports bars, the golf club, golf course, whatever. You need to go somewhere in public where you are less likely, since you can't control yourself. I didn't say it like that, but that's basically what I'm thinking. Since you can't control yourself, you need to be in a public place where it's not possible for y'all to get your groove on, because the minute you're alone, it's happening, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Well, she kept doing it. Every guy she went out with, I kid you not, every single guy she went out with, she would give it to him. Even though I specifically told her, you really don't want to keep doing this. She would cry. She would bottom out. She would lose interest in other guys. She was on the mating site. She would lose interest in other guys, and she would just have a breakdown. And she said, I don't think I'm going to go out with that other guy because this, that, and the other. I said, but why are you penalizing him for what somebody else did? He didn't do anything like that. Because the guy would do her and then not talk to her no more. So, of course, that feels like a violent slap in the face. But what did you expect? He's not going to want you to be his long-term woman, because he knows that if you're giving it to him like that, you're giving it to everybody like that. So no, that doesn't make him want to be your boyfriend or, let's see where this goes. I think you're amazing. No. Could that happen? Yeah, but it's a small percentile. Okay? Once they tag it, they're gone. more often than not, unless they're having a dry spell and they need to tag somebody else. Then they'll be like, hey, girl, hey, what you doing? 11 o'clock at night. What you doing? What the hell you think she's doing? She ain't doing you. But anyway, I think she was irritated with me because I was trying to get her to use some common sense and not use her V, but actually use her brain. And I think she was irritated because her stupid daughter was telling her something else. So, you know what? I don't give a shit. I backed off, let her do whatever she want to do. If she want to beg everybody on the planet, go for it. I don't really give a damn. Go, go, go. And I just quit speaking to her. And but these guys are refreshingly different. They are younger guys. They're not older sluts like these male dudes. These dudes that are like, you know, 40 plus. Oh, look at the ass on that one. I'll bend her over. I'll do that is 99.9% of what's in their head 99.9% of the time. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. You don't have nothing else going on with yourself? What have you done to reduce crime in your area? What have you done to mentor young men? And I don't mean teach them how to poke somebody and objectify somebody. What productive things have you done in your life besides pull down your goddamn underwears? What else have you done with yourself? You have an addiction. That is the reason why HIV is so rampant. AIDS is rampant. These STIs that you used to get a shot for, they're becoming antibiotic resistant. Y'all playing too many goddamn games up in here and you're acting stupid and you don't realize that this is serious. You know what I'm saying? I've been talking about this for years. Nobody gives a shit. They're going to keep on screwing and screwing and screwing and screwing until they finally reach the goal of getting a disease that they can't get rid of. Ding, 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 you win the prize. Because you didn't have nothing productive going on with your life and you weren't selective about who you pulled your clothes off for. So now you're going to pay for this for the rest of your life. And it don't make no sense because there's more to people than their body. But when you're addicted, you ain't trying to hear all that. And I've talked about the obsession with sex being an addiction. That is exactly what it is. There are controlled addictions, meaning you can go to work and you can focus on work and you can focus on running your errands and you could do everything you're supposed to do. But always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, when can I tag somebody? So that's a controlled addiction because you don't have a choice. You have to go to work and focus because if you don't, you'll get fired. You have to pick up your kids from school. You have to run errands, buy groceries and this and that. So you can't always think, when am I going to tag somebody? You know? But if that's always in your mind, something's wrong with you. That's not normal behavior. I mean, people are acting like it's normal because it's, we don't have any morals and values anymore. We're just going to screw our brains out. Yeah. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that. And even if you don't, get diseases, you may psychologically bottom out. I've talked about that I don't know how many times, to where you feel like you've been used and you feel like you're worthless because people have tagged you and ran away. And so you start feeling depressed because you start feeling like, well, am I a big fat zero because no one's ever stuck around longer than 5 minutes? Well, right, because you are, you're tossing your body up, you're giving it to everybody and throwing yourself up in the air like confetti at a wedding, and it doesn't make any sense. Your body is precious and it's special. You don't give special things to everybody, but when you can't think past the nose on your face, that's exactly what you do. And you don't think there's repercussions for that. And you don't think that people get, to the point where they have they want to end themselves. You don't think people get to that point because everybody's humped and dumped them? You don't think that takes a toll on people? Come on now. There's repercussions for this stupidness. There's repercussions. I just don't understand why people don't understand that. Focus on something else. If you can't, therapy is a good option. Group therapy is a good option. This ain't going nowhere. Look, doing all this stupid hypersexual behavior, that is the equivalent of, and with everybody, I might add, that's the equivalent of you being in a race car, shooting down the road 100 miles an hour, and it's a dead end, and you're going to slam into a tree. I've been talking about this for years. Nobody gives a shit. They're going to bang and bang and bang and bang. Okay. Okay. But like I said, my jaw dropped when I heard these young men. Like I said, one of them referred to our V as a box, which I think that's pretty disrespectful, but whatever. But these two gentlemen do not believe in objectifying women, and they don't believe in being trashy. Men are sluts too, not just women. Men are sluts too. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, do you need to be in a padded cell somewhere? Do you need to be in a psych ward? What is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So to hear two guys talk about it, and to hear two guys who don't think it's funny or entertaining when these older sluts, male sluts, are trying to force them to be objectify women. Look at that. Look at that one over there. The things I could do to her. They don't want to hear it. They will turn around and walk away. And I'm so proud of them for saying that. And then the guys get frustrated and they're yelling. Like one guy said that they were yelling sexual things about that woman. Like, hey, you're not responding to the nonsense, the trash that's coming out of my mouth in so many words or less. And it's like, not everybody wants to hear that shit. Not everybody was raised that way. Not everybody was encouraged to be a dog. So for the few that aren't, oh, we love the hell out of you. Okay, we love you. You don't understand. My jaw dropped. As I'm watching this video, my jaw dropped because I didn't know. I know logically there got to be some men that don't act like that, but there's so many that do that they kind of drown out the ones who don't. Does that make sense? So yeah. Oh my God. So you're going to really enjoy watching this video. Like I said, I'll put the title in the description. So refreshing. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to hug and kiss your parents. Thank you so much for raising them right. Thank you. We love you. All right, y'all take care. Bye.